Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. We're going to kind of explore how to save over 100 hours of time in 2025. You're familiar with the two presenters today. I'm JT Fiedler. I am the Product and Sales Advisor here at CSI, and I am joined by Doug Morris, who is the Founder and Chief Product Officer here at CSI.
And I'm a little washed out too. Sorry about that.
We wanted to start this off with two questions to just gauge where the audience is. So this first question is going to be, are you using a CSI product? So we'll give it a few seconds. If you're using a CSI product, feel free to put that in, but we'll see kind of engage where people are with regards to their CSI product knowledge. All right. I will close the poll and share the results. So it looks like the
Wow.
majority have a CSI product, at least one, but there are a few of you out there that don't have any CSI products. So hopefully you can get something out of today's webinar that maybe a CSI product can help you with. But really, this is geared to showing you and letting you know what and how to save time this year. All right. And the only other one is going to be, what version of IMIS are you on? Are you on IMIS 2017 looking to migrate to EMS, or are you already on IMIS EMS and getting the latest and greatest? Right. We will go ahead. I will end the poll and share the results.
All right.
Pretty evenly split and distributed. Perfect. All right. So the good news is, whether you're on IMIS 2017 or you're on IMIS EMS, CSI Cloud products are compatible with both. So you can use them today and continue to use them with IMIS EMS. You'll notice the one exception for our cloud products is Roster Manager. So Roster Manager is only for IMIS EMS clients, but that gives you something to look forward to once you are on IMIS EMS. So obviously, when we talk about saving time, automation is a key buzzword that people hear and are trying to implement into their daily lives. So automating unlocking user accounts, generating billing automatically, changing member types en masse, making sure that your data is up to date and free membership isn't being given out. Work in conjunction with process automation. So really use process automation to automate some of those communications and alerts and things like that you have in IMIS. Processing orders without user intervention. So not having to manually go and update the stage that an order is in. And we'll touch on some things coming soon that's going to really be geared towards helping you clean up your data and making sure that it's reliable. Now, what we're going to go through, we want to obviously speed up life and allow you to get more done in less time. So a nice thing we have is you can create events in Excel and import into IMIS. So you don't have to go one by one setting up those events. You can have a list of them in Excel and import them all into IMIS. Update freight tables as necessary. So you do have the ability to update those. So you're charging the correct amount for any shipping by weight or anything like that. Save member communications in IMIS. So any member communications that are happening outside of IMIS, say Outlook, make sure you're capturing those in IMIS to really make IMIS that single source of truth. See member and donor details without leaving Outlook. We spend so much time in Outlook, so why have to go back and forth? Let's eliminate that and really get a full picture into a member or a donor without leaving Outlook. Send one text message, not multiple emails. So we'll touch on kind of the importance of text messaging in today's world and where it can kind of bridge the gap of engagement with members instead of using the typical email route. Integrate with thousands of applications without needing to know kind of coding or programming, any kind of customization like that. We want to move away from customization and really just use the best of breed solutions in the IMIS community as well as just the technology community. And then we'll touch on something coming soon of you getting the ability to simplify accounting system integration. That's not all. We obviously want to also empower your members and donors. So allow them to manage their rosters in whatever way you see fit. Give them whatever power you want or minimize the power. It's all completely controlled by you. And then obviously when we talk about empowering members and donors and really wanting to boost member engagement, let's have one username and one password for everything. No more, what was this password? Oh, I have to forget password, reset it. Streamline that whole process and make it easy for that member or donor to interact and see the value your organization's giving. Now, enough of me. Let's pass things over to Doug.
Thanks, JT. So as JT said, we're going to show you some things that you can do using our products. They don't have to, you don't have to have our products for everything we're about to show you, and we're going to be open and honest whenever there's another way to do it. This is about saving you time in 2025, making you more efficient. As you know, right now, when one of your members or donors locks themselves out, they need to call you or email you and say, can you please unlock? And the fact is, you sort of have better things to do with your time than answer those emails. And if you can imagine how frustrating it is for them, you know, the whole reason to have a 24/7 web presence is that they can, you know, do whatever they want any time of the day or night. And when they're locked out, they can't get in. And so they're not going to go and interact with you or buy your products or register for an event or pay their dues. So how do you fix this? Well, with IDMS using iUpdate along with iSchedule, iWorkflow in about 30 minutes of your time. And JT is going to show you just how easy this is to do. And then we're going to give you a link that's going to be in here. So if you do have this product, we'll show you how to do it.
Right. So let's jump over into IDMS. First thing we'll check out is that IQA. So the IQA we have created in IMIS is just going to simply identify those people who have locked themselves out. So we need to address their issue and allow them to log back in. So we have the IQA here, locked user accounts. Nothing special. We're just using the user data source and the filter. We're just wanting to look for those people who have the is locked out flag as yes. So if we go ahead and run it, there's two people here that are locked out. So this is obviously going to eliminate having people have to call staff or email saying, hey, I locked myself out. There's nothing worse than it's after hours. They're trying to complete a course and they can't log in or they can't register for an event before pricing ends. So this is going to enable the administrative tasks to be eliminated. And so if we go into IDMS, iSchedule, I have a job out here that is just unlock user accounts. And when we go and map things, the only two things you need is the IMIS ID and then unlock user accounts to be 1 or true, something to make that statement true. Now, this is going to run that IQA. It's going to match on the IDs that are returned, and it's going to unlock those user accounts. So you can customize that screen where it says, hey, you lock yourself out, call your administrator or whatever that message may be to just say, hey, accounts are unlocked on the hour every hour. Try again then. So it's very easy to set up this process to automatically unlock user accounts. And like Doug mentioned, there's that link that you want. Most of these scenarios can be found on our YouTube channel as well. So if you frequent that, you can get the steps on how to accomplish this there as well.
All right, JT. So this is a new feature that actually got added to IMS EMS recently. But I believe with our product, I like the way we implemented it a little bit better. It's a little more powerful. The fact is, you've got to go in and run billing. Now, you might do this monthly or you might do it yearly. And the fact is, if you forget to do this, bad things happen. We had a client many years ago. They lost their person that was in charge of running billing, and no one thought about it. And it wasn't until the executive director saw a dashboard and went, where's all our money going? And because he was not seeing renewals. And so it is pretty scary if someone forgets to run renewals, right? But we can fix this today, right? We can do this with just simply having IMS EMS or using IDMS with iUpdate and iSchedule, and about 15 minutes of your time. So JT's going to show you what it kind of looks like today, and then what you can do to solve that.
Yes. So in IMS, under membership renewals, generate renewals, this is how you might be familiar with the process now. So you have to go into the generate renewals. You have to give it the billing run name in there. You have to actually select the billing cycle. Then you have to do the bill date, and then you have to set the effective date. But then also you have other options down here as well. So this is a manual process that you have to run. But what if you can eliminate this kind of manual task and really hone in on automating it and taking it off your plate? With IDMS, if we go back to iSchedule, all we are doing is we have an IQA out there, and I'll actually just go to the IQA. So the IQA is going to return just a single record in IMS. So just one row of data. That's all you need to have in order to have this implemented. So we have membership individual billing. And if we go to filters, here is that ID, and we use 3. So I believe in IMS EMS, there's always a user ID for IMS with the ID of 3. So you can always you want to select just one single ID to be returned. And then we put today's date there as well. So jumping into IDMS, what does this look like? We have our job right here, monthly billing for individual members. We can go ahead, and if we take a look at our mappings, this is all we're going to do. So we're going to type in exactly what billing cycle we want to bill for. We'll give that billing run a name. We'll use the effective date as the today, and then we're going to make sure that is renewals is true. So that checkbox in IMS is the is renewals. That is enabling it in this use case. From there, you can add it to iSchedule or iWorkflow, and it's going to run it in the background, so you never have to worry about is billing being done, or if someone, like Doug mentioned, leaves the organization or is on vacation. There's not going to be a gap of did we do it, did we not do it? It's all taken care of. There is that link to walk through how to implement this with IDMS today.
All right. So right now, as you know, when a member expires, they retain their current member type. There is a process in IMIS that you can go in and change them. Okay. It'll go and change them to a different member type. It only does a couple things, but it's something that has to be manually done. And if you forget to do it, right, you miss two things. One, you miss the chance to get them to renew because they're still getting member benefits, but you also miss the chance to, like to tell them they've expired and, hey, you throw a flag up there and say, we need some cash here. Right. So with IDMS or I'm a CMS. So we're trying to be, open and honest here because there is a way to do this. You just have to assign someone to do it. But with IDMS, you can actually automate this entire thing. And every month, if you like, however you want to do it, go in and change the member types to non-members and then do fun things like write activities. And we'll talk about why that's important too. JT?
All right. So with this, a common recurring theme that you'll see here is if we're using the IDMS I update module, everything is driven through an IQA. So you can pretty much do whatever you want with that data as long as you have an IQA query that you created in IMIS. So down here, we have a scheduled task that is updating expired associate members. So we honed in on a specific member type, but once again, this can be whatever you want, whatever makes the most sense for your organization. Now, what do we need to have mapped? Essentially, once again, these mappings are pretty straightforward, just like the ones we've walked through thus far. All we need is we're going to have that IMIS ID in our IQA and then our member type. So there's two ways you can do member type with this scenario. You could have a custom column in your IQA that tells IDMS what this new member type should be. Or the easier way, you can actually hard code the values. So if we look in here, we are just assigning everyone a static value of NM, which is non-member. Now you can type whatever product code or member type code here, and that would go ahead and for every IMIS ID that is returned in this IQA, it's going to assign them this member type. Now, when you think of member type, it's going to update in all of the places that you need it to, as well as if you have the change log enabled, it's going to track that to the change log. So you can see when it happened, as well as who did it. And there is the link to visit how to actually implement this using IDMS today.
Thanks, JT. So, okay, hey, you automatically dropped your members, right? Oh, isn't that exciting, right? Now they're no longer members. But we've got an opportunity here. In the sample we provide, we write an activity that says they were dropped by IDMS and why they were dropped. And so what about giving them a second chance, right? Or a last chance, if you will. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we can do a couple things here. Since we created that activity when we dropped them, process automation can trigger off that and send them an email and say, hey, JT, you've got one last chance to renew, right? You could even put, fun things in there, a discount or something like that. But even better, you could be a rock star and text them. And we're going to talk about texting and the power of that and how much more powerful that is and how much time you can save by simply texting versus creating all of these emails. So just want to get you guys thinking about ways to capture members that have lapsed and yet you didn't really do much short of drop them, right? You sent them a couple renewals, but you didn't give them that one last, hey, you're out. So we're going to talk about text manager there in a little bit too. All right. I'd love to do a poll here and find out, but we're not going to do it. But if you've ever set up an event in IMIS, you know how time consuming it is. And when you're going and you're setting up all those fields and you're just going through it, and I've done it, it just takes a long time. There's a lot to setting up an event. So what if we could actually use a spreadsheet? What if we could do all of our work on a spreadsheet and then just sweep it right into IMUS? JT, give us a taste of what that looks like.
Yes. So we actually provide kind of an event setup template for you, but really it's going to enable you to create that event with the various information that you need. And it's going to go even further. It's going to allow you to bring in event questions, registration options, pricing, registration questions. So it really covers all of the aspects that are needed when going in and setting up an event. Now, what does that look like with IDMS? We're going to use iImport because we're using that Excel file. And what we can do is load that spreadsheet. And because we give you the spreadsheet and the headers are going to be consistent, you just kind of rinse and repeat. What you can do is you can load that event tab. We'll go ahead and insert, and then we can just load mappings. So I have right here event setup that I set up ahead of time. So when I select this, it's going to map all of the columns I want to bring in for that given event setup. So in this case, you can see that it's just giving it the event code, name, end date, start date, status, category. So it's really just going to set everything up so you don't have to go through those manual processes or anything like that. So you can use that same spreadsheet, rinse and repeat. And the nice thing with this is if we go and in our documentation, we do have the event setup guide. So this is going to guide you through setting up an event. And then if you look at the very bottom, here is that sample Excel spreadsheet that you can download and you can start to put together your event setup in that spreadsheet to be brought in using iImport.
Thanks, JT. So JT and I were at an IMUS users group conference, and a lady by the name of Mary Ellen Dorn came up to us and said, we run about 50 meetings every fall, and it used to take 3 people 3 weeks to go ahead and enter all of that data into IMUS. And she's like, now with the spreadsheet and the ability to copy and paste and do everything, it takes about a day. And we were blown away. So we talk about saving time, right? 3 people, 3 weeks. This is huge, right? And so if you are doing a lot of events in IMUS, even if you're doing a couple, if you have IDMS iImport, I assure you can speed up by doing most of your work in Excel and then just sweeping it in. So freight rates, well, kind of we're going a little quick here, but if you do ship from IMS and you ship by weight, there was a great product called Freight Rate Importer by CSI, but we didn't make it EMS compatible. We decided to enhance IDMS with the ability to import and update freight rates, and we didn't charge anything for it. So we walked away from our product and we just enhanced the other one. So it takes about 15 minutes. JT will just show you real quick here how easy it is to do for any of you that are doing orders.
Yes. So with iImport, nothing special with your given spreadsheet. It's just going to be your shipping method code, weight, zone, rate, nothing special. We will go ahead and select that Excel file, shipping rates. And from here, we are going to just do an insert and update. Once again, the real power of saving time is these templates. So down here, I have shipping rates. I can select that. And what it's doing is it's mapping out what we have saved in our template. And we're just matching on the shipping method code, weight, zone, and we're going to update that rate for that given shipping method code. So simple, easy to do, where you can just have someone go in, load in the new rates using IDMS, and it eliminates that manual work of having to go in and update them one by one.
Thanks, JT. So we're also talking about the fact that you're in Outlook all the time, and we thought we're kind of betting right now that you might even be in there right now, right? And the fact is that if you're in Outlook, we have a lot of customers that are like, "Hey, listen, I want to save this email. And so I have to hit file, save, and then I have to go into IMIS and upload it. It's a pain in the butt. We want to be able to save stuff quick. We want to be able to find things quick. We want to be able to stay in Outlook as much as possible, right? And not have to bounce around, right? Go into IMIS when we need to be in IMIS. But if we're in Outlook, we shouldn't have to bounce in. So with iEmail, I'll show you, JT will show you how easy this is.
Yes. So going into Outlook, we have an email from Brandy Barber. So IML Cloud is just a simple add-in on your Outlook account. And what it's doing is it's reading the email address from the from address, and it's trying to find someone in IMIS. And so there you can see it found Brandy's record, and it gives you additional insights here. So you can actually hit this plus and it will expand details and give you more information and more insights into this particular member. So you could see Brandy's a non-member, she's active. Here's her mobile phone, address. So it really gives you kind of a bigger picture into this specific member. If you need additional insights or you're looking for something specific for this person, you can click this person icon. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to go and it's going to jump you into IMIS right onto that individual's profile. So you can gain additional insights into maybe their previous interactions with the organization, or maybe they are have some event coming up. We want to maybe have that in the email. So it's very easy to find that given person in IMIS. But the real power is saving this email so that everyone in our organization can see that Brandy is communicating with us. So without iEmail, you can export this file, save it, and then bring it into IMIS. But eliminating that, we can just hit save as interaction. And this is where it will go. One recent interaction has been saved. So if we jump right back to Brandy's record, we refresh it, what we will notice is there is that communication. So you'll get the body of the email, and we saved the actual .eml file. What you could have done is you could have saved just that word attachment, but all attachments can be brought in to IMIS. So if you have any proposals that are signed and returned or PDFs, you can capture that in one simple click. Now, I know we're close on time and we are kind of walking through this, but you can also extend this and create a follow-up activity. Maybe I'm not the person that is tied to the awards committee. So we're actually going to create a follow-up activity and we're going to add some information. So a date, maybe a description is more insights in interaction. Assigned to, we want to just assign it to Doug. And then a follow-up
Ooh.
date, we're going to just put it follow up in a week. And then we are going to save that as the activity. So you'll notice there is that activity being saved. And when Doug goes into IMIS on Doug's task list, as well as if he bounces into Brandy's profile, he will be able to see that alert of, hey, make sure to follow up in 1 week. So very powerful to link Outlook and IMIS, just because, like Doug said, we live in Outlook. So instead of having two separate logs of things, bring them into one and make IMIS that single source of truth and really eliminate the mentality of that lost email. If Doug goes out, we don't know what kind of conversations Doug has had with members, so we almost have to start from square one. So really focus on improving member engagement and the member experience by being able to pick up that conversation right where Doug left and really hone in on the value.
So I put in Chat GPT recently and I said, is texting more effective than emailing? Or how much more effective is texting? And it came back with some really, really surprising results. You can try it yourself, but the last thing was this, that texts are about 6 to 7 times more likely to elicit action compared to emails. I think that's incredibly powerful. And here's the fact, those pretty emails you send out that are just beautiful, they take a lot of time, right? To go and send them out and do this. So if you could do a simple, ugly text and get 6 to 7 times more likely action, that's super powerful. JT will tell you he's a young whippersnapper, he's like, what's email, right? The last thing I'm going to say is, cool thing with ChatGPT is you can go at the very end and say, show me your sources. So that's what I did at the end of that. And it came back and said, here's where I got this all from. So if you don't believe me, go ahead and try it out. But we think texting is really a way to get your members to jump. And JT is going to show you how simple this is now.
Yes. So with Text Manager, it's all driven through an IQA. So whatever data you have in your IQA can actually be used in the body of your text message. So in this screenshot, you can see this is where we're going to craft our message, and we can use those merge fields, which contains actual IMS data to make it more personal to that individual receiving the text message. So you could say, hey, informal, uh, your renewal is coming up on blank, and have their renewal date, and maybe even have a link to have them pay for their outstanding invoices or anything like that. And we go, and I sound kind of like a broken record of making IMIS the single source of truth. So you can save this text message as an activity or as an interaction back onto that person's IMIS profile to give more transparency in the organization, saying, hey, this person did receive a text message. What was that text message? This is how the text would look for that given individual. Nothing, just a normal text message. It can have links, things like that, to really gauge action on the member or donor's side of things. And each campaign through Text Manager has its own dashboard. So you'll be able to see how many messages were sent, what the message was, if there were any write backs. And lastly, the most important thing is kind of along the lines of data integrity, making sure that if we have any errors or failures because maybe we texted a landline and not a cell phone, making sure that our IMIS database is up to date and has accurate information.
All right. So let's talk about integrating, right? The fact is, best of breed products tend to really be refined and honed to do what they do best, right? And the good news is that you can pick any third party out there, right? One of our favorites that we're going to talk about real quick here is Tally. Tally's a simple forms product that can write to IMIS using iSchedule or iWorkflow. It's super cool. JT is going to show you a simple example of that. We integrate with Cvent as well. So Cvent is really known as probably the premier not only online registration system, but they do everything from RFPs to you name it. They do it RFIDs, RFPs, RFIDs, everything starting with R registration. And so we've integrated with that too. And then there's over 1,000 other products that you can integrate there. And all you need to do is have our Power Automate connector or iWorkflow or iUpdate or even our Cvent. So JT is going to just give you a quick little sample of what that looks like.
Yes, so this is Tally, that free form submission. And what we did in our workflow is say someone doesn't know or doesn't remember their account credentials or things like that. What we're going to do is they would go to this, they could scan a QR code and be brought to this form. They'd fill out their first name, last name, email, and mobile. And based on that information, we're going to see if they have an account in IMIS. Now, if they do have an account, we're going to say, hey, we found your account. Your username is blank. Click here to reset your password. If they did not, what we're going to say is, hey, we didn't find an account, but no worries. We created one for you. Your username is your email address that you gave in this form. And then we're going to say, here's a link to continue to complete the setup process. There's a ton of different things, like Doug mentioned, that you can access. So in the Power Automate platform, and I will go ahead and put this in the chat as well, you can go in here and think about the third parties that you're using that don't interact with IMIS. So if you use Adobe Sign for some things, if you use DocuSign, any Azure stuff, all of this is available now to have IMIS talk to them and be able to integrate those various workflows. So you can really remove those disparate data silos and hone in on IMIS holding all of the data and giving you a bigger picture. You'll notice MailChimp, there's SurveyMonkey. So if you're using third-party platforms, feel free to go to the link that I'll drop in the chat and see if there is a connector, because if there is, IMIS can now do something with that third party, and it's not just sitting off in the corner. So lots of power around Power Automate and what you can do with it.
So roster manager, any of you organizations on here that are trade organizations, you know how difficult it is to keep everything, to keep the rosters going well, especially including our fraternal clients, right? You have this huge roster of people, and if you've ever gone in and tried to edit a whole roster in Rise, it's very time consuming. You have to jump to each record and all that stuff. And the fact is, if you have to do that work, that's a lot of work, and it's just not an effective use of your time, right? So I wanted to title this slide, make your members do the work, but I thought that might be inappropriate because this stuff would get out in the open and I'd look bad. So what we're really looking at now is roster manager, and JT is going to show you how powerful this product is.
Yes. So just like Doug mentioned, it's just managing a roster. So you can go into the organization, and these are just iParts in IMIS that we are going to tell roster manager what we want to do with this. So we'll go, and in our use case, we just want to inactivate members. So instead of going one by one, what we're going to do is we're going to select a handful of members that we need to inactivate. This is where we can actually grab additional information. So we can do effective date. We could put a reason in there that we are dropping them or inactivating them. And then once we're done, we hit submit, and roster manager is going to take care of the rest. So if we go into our roster, we'll notice that Judy Gray is no longer there. And we also extend it and show inactive members. So if you were to go into IMIS, you'll see the status is updated to inactive. And we actually go a step further and track it into a panel saying, there's the action, they're inactive, their organization, and then they're given reason. So roster manager can really streamline that process for you and give your members more power to update their rosters without having you have to go in and do it yourself.
So we're getting near the end here. We appreciate your time. We're so excited about our cloud SSO. Really, the original implementation of this module was about allowing your members and donors to have one username and password, one for IMIS and the same password for all of the other great products you integrate with. So we did that and we love it, but we've taken it now almost to another level with some of our products. And so what we can do now is we can actually support multiple IDPs. Those are identity providers. I'm going to talk through an example. I'm not going to divulge names. We have a client who is made up of universities. And these universities all want to log in with their own credentials. So, University A, they have DMorris at university.edu, and University B has J. Fiedler at universityb.edu. They want to be able to log in with different credentials that were authenticated somewhere else. We were actually able to do that with our cloud SSO. This is a very low cost. Well, that's the higher cost one, but for the most part, our cloud SSO starts at less than $100 a month. And it really is designed to make it super easy for everybody to log in, and it's maintained and it is handling, boy, I don't even want to count how many authentications it's handling now. But if you are dealing with multiple usernames and passwords across all of your applications, let us know, because we can show you some really simple ways to streamline all of that. Our GL processor is coming soon. We're so excited about this because we have a lot of EMS clients that really need this. We have a lot of EMS clients that are, they're struggling with getting the data over to their accounting system. And they really should be doing it daily, right? But if you go and you have your accounting person and he or she has to deal with, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes every time they integrate, that we got to save time there, right? We want to save 100 hours, right? So our GL processor cloud is coming and it should be out next month. I think it'll be in beta. It's going to support multiple organizations. So right now, if you have multiple orgs, you're waiting for the other people. They can't post their batches because their data will be exported when you don't want it. It's also going to combine entities. So if you're a fundraising client and you need all your funds in one file, but your other side of the organization wants their own file, you'll be able to do that as well. Super powerful. All of you on this call, I know you have crazy accounting systems. And so the export from IMIS is just a CSV and you've got to manipulate it. We're going to manipulate it for you. So you'll be able to tweak the file however you want it to be. All due to, due from, and deferred income, if you're doing that, that's supported. And so the combination of all this is a happy accounting person. And that's very difficult to accomplish in the real world, but we can do it now with GL processor. I was questioning whether I wanted to do that. Last but not least, we've got iValidate coming. The fact is your data is dirty. We know it. You've had those member lists, those prospect lists for years and years and years, right? And so we have iValidate coming out soon. And the cool thing about iValidate, I'm just going to throw it all on there, right? It's going to standardize your addresses. Excuse me. It'll get your geolocation. It'll find people who've moved. It's going to verify if their email address is valid, if their mobile phone is valid, or maybe that mobile phone is actually a work phone. We think it's going to identify deceased people. That's what we're told. We just haven't been able to prove it. Support for both US and Canada, and true national change of address or change of address processing. So this is going to be a little bit closer to June, we think, but we're super excited because everybody's got dirty data.
And just so some important links, all of our documentation can be found at docs.csiinc.com. So if you have a CSI solution or you are interested in one and learning more, all of our docs can be accessed there. We do have a listserv, so we want this to be a collaborative group where you can bounce ideas off of one another and see how other organizations are using CSI's tools. So if you want to join the listserv, that's the link to do that. If you do have any of CSI's solutions, you can always reach out to support@csiinc.com with any questions. How do I do this? Or, hey, I'm running into this error. Can you help me out? All support is included with the annual subscriptions of CSI Solutions. And then lastly, sales@csiinc.com is how you can get a hold of me. If you don't have something that was covered and you're really wanting to explore that, you can always send an email to sales@csiinc.com. With that, let's open it up for questions.
So Jake Rabita put something awesome in the chat. If you are signed up for our listserv, the cool part about that is you can actually go in and search past questions and whatnot. So the listserv is not just for one-off things. You can actually look, what other questions. Today on the listserv, someone said, hey, I'd really like to be able to add additional choices onto a multi-select field. Can I do that? Yeah, you can. And then they said, well, can I remove it? Well, no, you can't. So we're able to point right to our documentation. We tend to really like to see people ask, to get help from other individuals. Like, has anybody gone and billed dues for, 17 different member types while doing this, this, and this? That's kind of what we're looking for people to be doing the listserv. And it can get a little out of hand sometimes. And Jake's responsible for some of that, but we won't blame him on the call that's being recorded. So especially because he gave the great thing there. So please go ahead and feel free to sign up for it. We try not to do salesy stuff on it. We will tell you when we have a new product release on it and whatnot. So it's really designed for you guys.
There are some questions I'd like to highlight in the Q&A of, could text manager be used for sending the reset your password or the forgot my password link instead of emailing it? Yes, you can definitely have text manager have that option in text manager. And so what you can do is you can use iWorkflow and have a button that you click that is going to trigger a text to go out to that person, and they can go ahead and reset or use the forgot my password link. Email Cloud is available for both 2017 and IMS EMS. So you can implement iEmail today, and then it will continue to work once you migrate to EMS. Any other questions?
Great feedback. Thank you all so much for your time. There will be a short survey JT is going to be sending out. It is 2 questions, just one, how did we do, scale 1 to 10, and then any feedback we have. We'd like to, we already took up almost an hour of your time. So now you have to save 101 hours this year. But we hope that we gave you some ideas about how to do that today. And we'd love your feedback on how we can do better on these webinars. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I will send out the recording sometime this week. But with that, thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Everyone kept saying I was under the weather. I'm not under the weather. I'm just talking quietly.